Mr. Shubhankar Das Gupta, Head New Business, Tata AIA. Mr. Amitabh Tapadar, the CMO, Tata AIA. Shri Kishore Kharat, General Manager, Bank of Baroda. Shri Satnam Sethi, CEO of Maha Online. Inviting Shri Sumantapal, Senior Vice President of Sahej, and Shri Kostub Dwivedi, the CEO of Spanco. Dr. T.S. Anurag, Senior Research Scientist, Media Lab Asia. So it's a big panel as we look into the innovative services, do a little bit of more brainstorming into analyzing and assessing the current services available and availing of the new services. We'll just make arrangement for another chair. I think it's a big panel. So I now hand over to the session chair, Shri Gaurav Dwivedi. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon to all dignitaries present here on the dais with me, Mr. Mahesh, Mr. Subhankar, Mr. Amitabh, Mr. Kishore, Mr. Satnam Sethi, Mr. Sumantapal, and Mr. Kostub Dase, and Dr. Anurag. The topic that we will be talking about in this session, we have about an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half for this discussion. And the topic that has been given to us is with regard to the designing and delivering of innovative services. Now, as you are aware that there is a very wide range of services that CSCs are providing to citizens across the country, and not only is the range very wide, but the range is also diverse from state to state. There are a certain number of services which are available in one particular geography, but they are not available in others. So in that sense, there is a little bit of a lack of a standardization also, that there are several services which are available in some parts but are not available in other parts. Now, all the panelists here with me are all experts in their own right in different fields. And what we will do, the ground rules for this particular session is that we would be starting from one end, and the panelists will share their thoughts in about 10 to 15 minutes each. And then subsequently, we would have time for some interaction and discussion with the audience as well. And as far as interjections or questions are concerned, so I think I would request all my co-panelists to kindly indicate at the beginning of their session whether they would like to take questions as they come along, or whether they would like to handle questions towards the end when we open the floor to the audience. Now, as far as just to set the outline for this discussion, we have things like health services, we have things like education, we have skill development training, information, education and communication related activities, UID, and financial inclusion. These are all different activities that CSCs are performing currently in different areas. But I would like to just rewind a little bit and bring to attention what the secretary said, Mr. Satyanarayan, in the morning session about the number of transactions which are taking place. And given that one example from a particular district which the secretary had given, this district was having just a couple of hundred transactions taking place on an average, and the range between the number of transactions on the high performing CSCs and the low performing CSCs was extremely wide, from 0 to almost several thousand, 2,000 if I remember correctly. The last reports that have come in for the month of May, June, which we are in the process of compiling, shows us that the average number of transactions which CSCs are currently doing across the country is just under 200. 195 is the figure that I remember. It has been on the upswing in the last few months, but it has still not crossed an average of 200 across the country. So, in that sense, probably we are not quite spoilt for choice. We still have a long way to go before we attain an average level of transactions which is high enough for all CSCs to sustain themselves, to be financially and commercially viable entities. But at the same time, we need to balance and temper this expansion into other businesses with the capabilities of the CSCs themselves, because we should not expect them to probably, invest maybe further larger sums of money, or maybe in terms of knowledge and other resources that they may not be capable of doing. So on the one hand, there is this desire to increase the number and the range of services that CSCs are providing, but at the same time, we also have to keep the capabilities of the CSCs themselves in mind, so that we do not burden them with activities that they may not be totally equipped to perform. So this is not an easy question to handle. This is quite a bit of a dilemma, and I'm sure that as we go along in this session, my co-panelists here will share their thoughts in this issue, on this issue, and by the end of the session, we would be able to come to maybe some sort of a reasonable conclusion as to what could be the possible way ahead for CSCs to follow in the days to come. So with this, I now invite my first co-panelist, Mr. Mahesh Venkateshwaran, Principal Lead Innovation and Engagement from the National Skill Development Council. Mr. Mahesh?
Thank you. Mahesh, I'm from the National Skill Development Corporation. Just to give a very quick brief in 2 lines. NSDC has been formed, is a body under the Ministry of Finance. It's jointly owned by the Government of India and the industry bodies which represent the industry different sectors, including NASSCOM, FICCI, ASSO Chambers, CREDA, Gems and Jewelry Association, and so on and so forth. Now, our mandate is very clear: to skill 150 million Indians by 2022. And what we do is 3 things. We create capacity for large-scale vocational training institutes. Some of them were here in the morning. Be Able, which is part of Basics, ISEC, many of them are partners. The second thing that we do is we set the standards, the national occupational standards, and create a platform for assessment and certification of skilled trainees who are coming out of these centers. The 2 main reasons for that is they'll get upward mobility and they'll get an opportunity to learn for the rest of their lives, lifelong learning. What is interesting for us from a CSC perspective, and why we are here representing NSDC, is we have an ongoing proposal that is under consideration from CSC, where we are trying to create digital content in a self-employment area for an automobile repair technician. And we want to take that as a pilot with, say, 21 VLEs in 3 states, and that's under consideration again, and see how this whole skilling mandate can be integrated with CSCs, given that CSCs have created incredible capacity across the country, I believe 1.2 lakh CSCs. Now, the way I would put forth is, when it comes to skilling, our partners are there in 350 plus districts around the country. They run around 550 programs collectively in 21 sectors. You can take any sector and break it down, and we would probably find a partner of NSDC providing a course, has the curriculum, has the content, and has the trainers to provide that service. You can take plumbing, you can take retail assistants, you can take masonry, shutterers, barbenders. You can take any sector and break it down to a job role, and you will find one of our partners providing that service. Now, what is it in for CSCs, VLEs particularly, in this whole thing? The only thing you'll have to differentiate, and I saw this book, which is fantastic because it's profiling 50 enterprising VLEs. I would request CSC to look at enterprise VLEs, which is VLEs who have infrastructure, who have connectivity, who have the ability to build a team locally, and then identify a closest NSDC partner who can come in and bring that value addition in terms of skilling. For example, if I am a VLE in Lohardaga in Jharkhand, and if I am providing certain services, be it B2C, G2C, whatever services I am providing, there are a lot of youth, there is a lot of aspiring youth who are trying to get jobs, either self-employment or want to move out and find a job in the closest town or the nearest city. Identify, NSDC will be very happy to engage with with the VLEs to identify, and the EAs and the agencies, to identify these partners and work with them and to see how we can actually provide at least one skill for a target population in that particular area. So the role of the VLE would be one of enabling that skilling environment in the local area, wherein you could do the sourcing, you have the infrastructure that you can rent out, or you can have an agreement with the NSDC partner. You can, if you want to go through a training module, training of trainer program, you can also become a trainer for a particular trade. You can also be a counseling center, because a lot of youth have aspirations. They want to come in and they want to understand what are the options with them in front of them. Usually what they're given is one or two, but I think you can actually have a conversation with them and ask them what their real aspirations are, what have they studied, what are their interests, and then you can map their aspirations to a particular job role or a self-employment thing. And the last thing, all our partners, we have this thing to ensure that they give 70% placement on the committed numbers. So if there is a partner X who says, I will train 5,000 people in a year in these 3 trades, we ensure that there is a 70% placement. I mean, they ensure there is a 70% placement. That is a commitment that they've put forward to us. And I think this would be an interesting one to look at for VLEs under CSC. The other thing is, why should they pick an NSDC partner over anybody else, another vocational training provider? We have a very simple analogy, which is, today if I am a security guard, I go from, say, a district in Bihar, and I'm picked up by a security company. I am put in Impal, or I'm put in a location in Tripura, wherever I'm basically placed. I am a security guard for a long, long time. Where do I move up from a security guard? Now we have established sector skill councils, which follow something called the National Vocational Qualification Framework, wherein they have divided the security and security services space into different job roles. You can be an unarmed security guard, you can be an armed security guard, you could be an electronic surveillance person, you can be a CCTV supervisor, or you could be in charge of the entire perimeter. You can be a master supervisor, master security guy. Now, if I enter as an unarmed security guard, I have to go through a training course, and that will include, say, 10 modules. Now, if I want to be an armed security guard, I have to do one more module, which is how do I secure my perimeter using a defense weapon, or including a basic weapon. Then I become an armed security guard. What does that do? When I am an unarmed security guard, I earn something around 4,700 rupees. If I am an armed security guard, I have the potential to earn 5,500 or 6,000 rupees. So where do I go to seek this incremental module? That's where an NSDC partner would come in handy. And all the modules, the jobs and everything are industry-led. So what I mean by that is all these jobs that I just mentioned in the security space have been identified by the security industry and given to us. They have said in the next 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, these are the roles where most of the jobs in the security industry will come from. And I can take IT sector, healthcare sector, retail sector. So we look at it from a sectoral perspective. So it's fantastic because you get a big basket of trades and job trades and skills that you can pick up. The VLE is, we can pick what is most appropriate for the local population in there and their aspirations. And the training partner would come in and do a little mapping with you and understand the demographics, do a skill gap analysis, do a need analysis, and then suggest the right programs for that person to actually enroll. Now, the difference between many programs and ours is we are a fee-paying model, wherein we expect the trainees who come in to a center for quality vocational skilling programs to actually pay a fee to actually access that service. Now, there are instances where big corporates or PSUs or there are state government programs which have subsidized that cost, but largely we are looking at for-profit vocational training institutes, and it goes very well with the fact that VLEs are businessmen at the end of it, and that they are looking for a for-profit business model, and I think it's a good way to engage. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mahesh. It's an interesting thought that we start right from the beginning to identify subjects which are appropriate to the area and the local demand, and then guide the VLE to select the appropriate courses to offer to the citizens of the area, so that we do not thrust a business upon the VLE, but rather work to develop a business in partnership with the VLE to address local needs, out of which the business would flow. Thank you, Mahesh, for your comments. And now may I invite Mr. Kishore Karath, JM from the Bank of Baroda, for his inputs. I was looking that side.
And all participants of this seminar, I'm very happy to be here. I'm representing Bank of Baroda. The topic is about the designing and delivery of the products. I would like to stick to the topic. What we always hear, and bankers, because we are more associated with the financial inclusion, I would like to discuss about the financial inclusion. Let me tell you about our association with CSC first before we start the topic. Very recently, we have been very closely working with CSC governance. In fact, as Mr. Kalra, my colleague, in the morning session, he said, all the banks have signed the agreements with CSC governance to appoint their CSCs at the village level as a BCAs, and in that direction Bank of Baroda also has executed an agreement. And on 20th of July, which is our foundation day, we are launching 1000 kiosks of Bank of Baroda through this CSC platform, and our plan is in this financial year to increase this banking kiosk, which we are going to connect through the CSC, to 5000, and with this kiosk our village coverage, which is mandatory for us, is also would be covered, will be completed, all that whatever targets are given to us. Now when we come to financial inclusion, in fact time and again people talk about financial inclusion and the business opportunities which are available there. When we talk about business opportunities, obviously the products and its delivery, it remains as a center stage insofar as any business model is concerned. But before designing the products, we must know what is the scope of the selling of that product, what is the area of operations where we want to sell the product, and where is going to be the acceptability of that product. Many of us talk about financial inclusion, but many of us really don't know what exactly is the scope of work in a financial inclusion. I am working in this department. I am in charge of financial inclusion for last 2 years, and have been traveling across the country very extensively, but still I find I have not yet understood the scope, because it is so much vast. I would like to just show you one slide out of my presentation that will perhaps, I will stick to this one slide. My dear friends, this is a, if it is coming on your screen, is it?